Well, we keep hearing this phrase, separation of church and state, from the big mainstream media all the time. And you know, they've taken that concept and they really skewed it from what it was intended to be. And I just want to point out, and I'm not very religious, to tell you the truth. Quite honestly, I am not going to put myself forth as somebody, yeah, you better read the Bible and you better, because I'm just telling you really reality what it is. If you look at a lot of my videos, I'm not that religious, but I sure am not for stamping out religion either. So here in 1782, the U.S. Congress authorizes the first printing of the Bible, 10,000 copies of the Bible. And that's a lot of copies considering the population at that time. So the first printing of the Bible in North America by Philadelphia publisher Robert Aiken. The Bible had been called the Bible of the Revolution, but why would Congress authorize a publishing of the Bible? The one thing was for accuracy, because this is what happened when a lot of governments, even in Europe, they had the government print the Bible, because if people copy it, they can screw it up, and you can get errors down the line. It keeps passed down and passed down and passed down. Now, obviously, you know, with the Torah, which is the Christians call the Old Testament, if you look at when Jewish scribes throughout the world finally compared notes many thousands of years later, they found out they were dead on accurate. So, if you're actually translating the Bible, or the old, well, I don't know if you want to call it the Torah, the Old Testament, depends on what you are, from original Hebrew, you're going to get some real accurate information. Now, I personally think, even if somebody is not into religion or were trained in religion, if you look at the Ten Commandments, it's like a common sense set of rules. You could see that they're just and fair. Just from a complete outsider, you can realize what it is. And so, as early as 1777, Congress discussed importing Bibles from Scotland or Holland, but the plans were never completed. But they wanted to get something accurate. This is the Congress doing it. Now, compare this to what's going on today. I'm going to bring up Judge Roy Moore from Alabama in this video, too. And, again, if you look at some of my videos, and even if you look at, I'm not somebody's, well, I could tell you one thing where my personal belief deviates from the standard Christianity is that I don't think you just have to have faith and believe. You really, I know works don't count if they're not really in your heart, right? But you just can't just sit back and say you're saved and then you're done. I've seen that happen so many times. That gets me mad. I'm one where you got to keep working at and striving to correct things and get things going the right way. It's not like you just sit on the fruits of your labor. If you did one thing and you're done, you're saved. I disagree with that to the max. And actually, if you look at true Judaism, it's whereby you have to keep continuing. You don't just, I'm done. I got my way paved to heaven. You're never done. You're never done until you got to keep adding to whatever you did. I know the works don't count, but you just can't sit back. So sometimes you get a little mad when some people go, "I'm saved, I'm done." Well, I don't know. I disagree with that. So Congress authorized the first printing of the Bible in 1782, 10,000 copies of the Bible. Right. The thing is, here's the actual executive order. If you want to, well, it's not an executive order. It's actually Congress doing this. Today they do things by executive order. Back in the day, they did things when they passed a law or they wanted something done with money from the public treasury. It wasn't done by decree of the president. It was done by Congress, their elected body of representatives, in the House of Representatives and the Senate. So resolved that the United States in Congress assembled highly approved the pious and laudable undertaking of Mr. Atkin as subservient to the interest of religion, as well as instance of progress of arts in this country. Now, you know what kind of arts they're talking about, real arts, the kind you understand, not the kind of like you go to a junkyard and you take a pile of metal and you glue it together and you say, I got art. It's kind of what they do today. If you could do that and sell it for $1 million, go ahead. I mean, I will not tell you not to if you could get the money for it. But as being satisfied from the above report of his care and accuracy of the execution of the work. So this guy, Mr. Aiken, he actually took, he was the first one to take the translation from the Greek instead of the Latin, so it was more accurate. But I could tell you, the Jews take the translation from the Hebrew. I know they don't have. Well, I'll tell you what my opinion is on Jesus, whatever. But they recommend this edition of the Bible to the inhabitants of the United States. So the Congress is recommending this particular edition of the Bible to the inhabitants of the United States, and hereby he authorizes the Congress' appointee, who are paying for this work, to publish this recommendation in a manner he shall think proper. Big difference, right? So Charles Thompson was the one. He was a long-time Secretary of Congress and an accomplished theologian. You know what they would do today if you're Secretary of Congress? It would not allow an accomplished theologian to have that, right? His translation of the Greek New Testament was the first translation of the New Testament directly from Greek into English. Now, obviously, you're talking the New Testament here, but, we're talking about the Old Testament or Torah. You should be going right from the Hebrew, I would think. But, my opinion on Jesus is that you should listen to what he said. He may or may not be the Messiah. I don't know. Maybe he never claimed to be the Messiah. You can interpret things a lot of different ways. But you should listen to what he said, and even though I'm of the religion where I'm supposed to listen to that guy in a big walled-up city, in Rome, I don't listen. I don't like him too much. I do listen. I go with the King James Version of the Bible, and I listen to what the red words are. Is he the Messiah, or is he some great teacher and healer that was a rabbi? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Either way, you listen to what he says. And you continue to do on a daily basis. You don't just sit back. He You remember this back when Judge Roy Moore was running for governor in Alabama, and they jumped all over him because he left the Ten Commandments up in the court. Well, how come the Congress, this whole nation was founded, Ten Commandments is Christianity and Judaism. It's the same, we both have the same thing, right? What's wrong with it? Nothing. How is that? They're telling you it's offensive. Get out of here. Maybe you planted a peach tree on your lawn. You could say I'm offended by the peach tree on your lawn. I mean, these people that's a new word. That's a new game. I look at this, and like I said, I'm not really religious, but I got videos out there. I talk about financial matters with motorcycles and biker chicks, and mixed in the videos so people don't get so bored about the financial matters. So, I mean, I'm not really strictly religious, but when you're looking at, I just thought I knew what happened with this guy, Judge Roy Moore. He was crucified. He was crucified. You know what they did? They bust in loads of people from out of state, and they had them vote, and had people vote twice. That's how he lost the election. They cheated. Big time. But, if you see, this is why they're attacking not just the Southern Confederates. They're going after the whole 9 yards. Everything this whole nation stood on. Now, but if you look at these 10 Commandments, you can see what they are. I mean, it's what's fair for you is fair for me, and all this. It makes sense on the surface, even if you've never read them. So, what's wrong with it? But what's wrong with it is this: the people don't like this. You're not talking about the population per se, but the people in charge that are really pushing, to get this out of the public eye. They want to make all the rules. That's really what it is. It's about complete and total control by them. So here you got a set of commandments that pretty much puts the brakes on everybody equally. They don't like that. They want complete unbridled control. That's why they don't like it. And you know, it's not a matter of religious versus irreligious. If you even went back before the times when there was Jesus around, and you know, if you look back even in ancient times, you know, a lot of people did understand what's fair and right. They don't like it when, you know, the people on the top that are really pushing out, knocking out these commandments from public view and getting them all out of the government, which is the total opposite of what the founding fathers have said. They really are going after, you know, anything that can limit their powers. Now, I'm going to say something. I know a lot of people are, you know, with the Bible are very much on the side of Trump. I voted for Trump because I don't like witches. Hillary was the witch, you know. But, you know, I'm going to say this, you know, as a principle, you know, assume Trump is like perfect, you know, which we know he isn't, right? But say he is. Say he even was perfect. You know, you don't want to ever take the position whereby one person has to fix everything for you. Never. Never, never, never. Well, look at Trump. He's the best we can hope for. But obviously, you know, I could see other angles coming up. I don't want to diverge down those trails right now, those divergent trails right now. But, you know, even if this guy could do everything and he was actually 100% legit and he can actually do what he says, it's never good to get behind just one person. And you know, that's really, you know, the spirit of the Bible. The spirit of the Bible is you answer to a higher code or a higher authority or a higher set of principles, or, you know, subjective things such as honor and virtue and integrity and fair play. You don't answer to a person. That's why I'm not really too much on, you know, support the government, support all authorities and whatever, you know. But, you know, when I looked at this, I says, you know, I looked at this, you know, thing today where the Congress authorizing 10,000 Bibles to be printed because they want to make sure everything's accurate. They want to have the best translation. You're talking the New Testament. Yeah, I mean, some might find, you know, I mean, I know if you don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah, you're not going to like that fact maybe, but still, you know, you can look at it like, why is it today that people are not just knocking out just the New Testament, but also the Ten Commandments? Judge Roy Moore, you know, big controversy. Why? Because he wanted to keep the Ten Commandments in the courthouse? Get out of here. So, I mean, and I already know this guy was, they made him lose the election. They bust in people. There's so many ways they could cheat on these elections. And what's going on with these forces that are knocking out the Ten Commandments? You know what it is? It's not just like, you know, good versus evil or religious versus irreligious. You think of it this way: these people, because I know the people that are in the population that don't like the Ten Commandments because they violate some of them and they don't like having a rule that says I can't do this. I know that's why some people don't like the Ten Commandments, you know. But you know, either they're crooks or adulteries or whatever they do. You know, they don't like that part, so they don't like that. But the reason, that's one set of people. But the reason the top money people that are in power are knocking out the Ten Commandments is they want unbridled control. In other words, the Ten Commandments is something that is actually embodied in our laws and actually in our limited government structure that could put the brakes on the will and plans, which are usually nefarious plans, of the most powerful people have. And actually, the more money they have, the more power they have, and the more they got, the more they want to have. You look at the Roman emperors, you know, after the Republic fell and they became an empire, it all depended on who was in office, how things went. If the emperor was a good guy, everything was pretty good. If the emperor was like Commodus or something, or Caligula, everything was really bad. That's why I'm not really too much on his bandwagon with, Trump, 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 Trump. Not that I'm knocking him, but, we almost got an empire now, actually since 1865, when Abe Lincoln changed the office of the presidency where he can run the country by executive decree. So now, really what you want to have is a set of laws and a set of principles and codes that are higher than anybody, with checks and balances where, there's a lot of limits on how much the power can do. You got to have a little bit of government. You got to have some rules here and there, not too many. So I did want to bring this up with Judge Roy Moore, though. When I brought this out about the Congress back in 1782 authorizing 10,000 copies of the Bible to be printed, funded by the government, funded by, say the people's money that the government had. A lot different Congress way back then. What the hell are they doing today? I don't know. And if I write my congressman today, they'll say, he's my servant. And I was like, really? You're my servant? You know what? I'll give you a tree trimming saw, and you can go out of here and cut my trees and trim them down before the hurricanes come. Anyway, you're not my servant. That's just some fancy stuff you put on there. It's amazing today how things have changed. Even if you're looking back at the Revolution, people weren't putting up with anything. The King George would appoint these tax officials and stamp tax officials or whatever the hell they are. The population's like, get out of here. We're thrown out of town. Today, if you had these same tax officials being appointed by the King George, the E! News channel would be out there. Oh, King George is coming over, and he appointed these tax officials, and look at their chariot, and look at their house, and we're going to have a tour of their house, and we're going to talk to the tax officials and their family, and you know what I mean. And everybody be saying, oh, well, gee, isn't that wonderful? That's kind of like what they do today, right? That's how different we are today. At least, maybe you are. I'm not. I don't know about my audience being that way, but a lot of people are like that today. They get involved in all this. Even these conservatives, I know Jeb Bush. I don't care. I wouldn't really want to know him. And actually, Republicans, Democrats are worse by far, but they're all bad. And I don't really care that, who the hell they are, what title they got. I can really give a damn. And I'm not somebody that says, you better read your Bible and go to Sunday school every day. I'm not saying that either. But, it's definitely not in the Constitution of the United States that the government of the central, whatever, the federal government, central government, yeah, really, the federal government is going to, is bound by the Constitution to prohibit the free exercise of religion within, by using any government funds. Now, here in 1782, they used government funds to make sure an accurate version of the Bible was printed. How many people know this? And here, less than 250 years later, you got Judge Roy Moore getting knocked out of the election, going fraudulent means too. They really, he definitely won that election. He definitely won it, but they cheated like crazy. They had people busting it. And why? Because he was sticking with the Ten Commandments. That's why I'm pretty much today, I'm mostly anti-authoritarian. I don't care if somebody's a governor or whatever they are, even if they say they're conservative. Because most of the time it's total quality lip service. They're not really conservative, and I don't even know what that word means, for crying out loud. I think it's just a buzzword so they get some votes from different constituents or something. They don't stick with anything. They don't stick with any virtues of anything at all. Trump might be pretty legit in some ways, but I think people have already found out that, it's not going to be, I mean, I don't really. I'm not. I actually, I think it turned out better than I thought it was going to be with him. To tell you the truth, in my opinion. But I know some people already got disillusioned, but not everybody. But it shows you how much the nation has changed, and who changed it. I'd say it's crooked Satanists on the top. They really are Satanists. They're evil people, man. They don't want these 10 Commandments because they'll limit them. And when you're on the receiving end of their nefarious garbage, you don't want to be on that. You know, even if you're one that's against these 10 Commandments, you're not one of the big powerful people, and you don't like one of the 10 Commandments. You don't like I don't know, thou shalt not cover thy neighbor's wife or something. I don't know, but you don't like that commandment. I was just looking at the last one. The thing is, these guys on the top that are pushing these commandments out, they're going to use whatever lack of rules that they have against you. These 10 commandments protect all of us. That's what's going on. It's actually more important than the Bill of Rights in some ways, This actually should be part of the Bill of Rights. It should be a constitutional amendment with these 10 commandments. But, the way things are going today, I don't know what's going to happen, but probably something really bad. Anyway, over and out. Just figured I'd just point this out, and I wanted to, show how different things are. And one of the things that really displays that is what happened with Judge Roy Moore, which is ridiculous. I don't want to say any more than this. I mean, I have my angles I use, and I basically don't cooperate with any of these crooked weasels in power at all. And I'm not saying what you should do, but that's what I do. Over and out.